So I've been having some issues with my air compressor since I've been running off this one while this one's down, where it does not want to, it seems sluggish, you know, when it starts up. And I know it's belt tension related, and it takes a little bit for the, you know, the momentum of the flywheel to get up to speed to get it to where the belt will stop slipping on it. And you can hear that just in a sluggish start, and then it'll sort of catch up. But we'll turn it on here and I'll show you what it's doing, and then we'll take a look at coming up with some way to fix that. Alright, so you heard that, and as you'll notice here, we have a fair amount of play and deflection. And I looked some specs up online, and it said that you should have somewhere between 1/4 and 1/2 inch of deflection at the midpoint. Any tighter than that and you'll put too much preload on the bearings, and any looser than that or more loose than that and you'll have all kinds of belt slippage and so forth issues. But so I'll put a tape measure on it, just a kind of an eyeball thing, and we have right at about 1 inch of movement, so it's clearly too tight. The problem I've got here with it is trying to do this, you know, with tighten this thing up with a nut and bolt in the bottom. You need 2 hands for that, and there's not a good way to get tension in here to, you know, push this that way to get it tight while you're tightening the bolts. And the shape of the motor and all this kind of, you know, becomes an issue, and the shape of the crankcase on the pump. So anyway, I'm going to try to come up with a puller that would connect to the 2 front bolts here, so you loosen them all up, and a way to pull against this outer edge while I get the back bolts tight, and then take it off, take the tensioner off, and tighten the front bolts, and see if we can get that done. I think the pulley's in alignment. I mean, it looks like it is, just kind of visually looking at it, but I need to check that a little bit too, and figure out a way to get a good check on that. So all right guys, I'll bring you back and show you what I end up coming up with here. All right, so here's the thing I came up with in the other quick little video you saw probably on the other channel. But anyway, I just kind of threw this together like really quick in 5-10 minutes. It might took a little longer than that trying to film it while I was going, but the thought is that my compressor is it's really difficult, and I'll go out there and show you in a minute, to get leverage on it while you're also tightening the bolts, because it's got a nut and a bolt, so you got to have a wrench on top and bottom. I've tried using like a you know, scissor jack to put in there and put a little tension on it to hold it and it's just awkwardly shaped in there, because the tube, the inlet or the outlet tube of the pump goes down through the center between the motor and the pump. A lot of them are probably made that way, I don't know, but anyway, I just took a couple of nuts and put here to space it up to allow room for the bolts to turn. And I put 2 different length bolts in there to make it easier to get the wrench on both of them, because they're so close together. And I just picked up this piece because it was an offcut, you know, and cut it to length and welded that on there to go flat up against the pump so that it's pushing against something flat and solid. and another plate here, so that it's not pushing into the motor, you know, so you're kind of screwing into the plate. And it worked good. And what I found out though is that I kept, you know, screwing it and putting more and more tension on it. And I was like, why is this belt not getting any tighter? It got a little tighter, but it wouldn't tighten up all the way, you know, tighten up firmly. And what I found out was I had used up all the travel in the slots. And I guess this belt, I don't know how long I've had it. It doesn't look like it's in terrible shape. You know, it's not like worn out or anything. And I don't know what the original length was. I can't see the numbers on it. They're kind of worn off of it. But it's, so I went and got a shorter belt that's 1 inch shorter. And it was almost too short. I could barely get it on there. You know, which is, I guess, probably how it should be, because it's gonna stretch out a little bit, you know, probably initially and then slowly stretch out over time. But Shut Your Face Garage has the same compressor, and so anyway, I'm working on. I'll take you guys around here. Some metal art jobs. You see that Wonder Woman sign? You guys probably saw the paint job on that, and there's a Harley Davidson one over there. So I got to cut out one more piece to make 2 of those Wonder Woman signs. And you guys forgive my mess over here. I try to keep all my tips and everything, you know, organized. But, you know, it just ends up being scattered in little packages. I tried to make up this, but I don't know. Anyway, so I thought I'd just bring you along. I'm going to set up a job here real quick to cut one more piece for the Wonder Woman sign, and then we'll go. Once I get that job fired up, it's gonna you know, it'll kick the compressor off once it starts cutting on the table, and I'll take you out there and let you hear how it's running now compared to how it was running with the belt a little bit loose on it. And Shut Your Face Garage was commenting on it. He thought his pump might have been going out, which I didn't know either, but I did I did notice that the belt had looked like it was waving around a lot back there. And I listened to his in his recent video, and mine does the same thing. You know, it's really sounds like the pump's just struggling on startup, and then it kind of picks up speed and momentum, and then as the pressure gets built up and more, it's harder to turn the pump, it starts spinning again, you know, and then it kind of catches up again. And so you sort of hear that sequence throughout the charging cycle. And so you know, I don't know whether I've already played it in this video or I'm about to play it now. Either way, one way or the other, I'm going to show you what it was doing, and then I'm also going to show you what it does when I kick off this job. So let me get this job going here. This is kind of like a live video, you know, just showing you what's going on here in the shop. Just trying to get these metal art jobs done and out of here. Let me go turn the plasma table on. I had used up a full sheet and got everything I needed cut, except for this one last part on the Wonder Woman shield. So let's see if I saved the job. I don't know if I did or not. Letters. Let's see what this one is. No, that's not it. Open job. Nope. I don't always save the cam jobs. In cam, you can just, you know, export the G code. But if you ever need to go change how the arrangement is or whatever, it's nice to save the cam job. So you already have it there. But I don't have it, so I will go and reset it up here real quick. So this is a 20-inch. Oh, that's weird. So it imported that, and the cam is already, now that's just strange. Anyway, one kind of weird thing about this, hopefully it's showing up on camera, is that something in the cam on this is a piece of art I bought online. And this is, you know, a lot of people will say, oh, I've got my own artwork. And, you know, they'll say that they, you know, it's all ready to go. So, you know, you don't need to charge me anything to do the artwork. And I'll bring you a little closer maybe where you can see this. And it'll come over and it'll have like a lot of extra lines, and you know, like this one is set up to try to cut on the inside and the outside of the star. And if I'd opened this up in cam, and if you see that there's 2 lines in there, if I had opened this up in cam, I could have deleted that inner star out of it. But here, or in CAD, I'm sorry. But here's a little shortcut that you can do in cam. If any of you guys that watch this are sheet cam guys, whichever line you don't want it to cut, if you left click on it and move it to a new layer, and just call the layer delete. And over here in this panel, let me see if it's showing. No, it's slightly off the screen there. So over here in the panel where it added that layer, if you just uncheck delete, it basically unchecks that layer from this job. So that's a quick little cheat without having to go back into CAD and delete stuff out. And it's the same thing on the lines here. It's got 2 lines everywhere. So I need to delete the inner line on this. So move to layer delete. Now I got rid of that line. And the same thing on this outer line. And we'll delete the inner one. Move to layer delete. So I got rid of all those. All right, so that's so I need to go back and delete these inner ones as well. Delete. We'll get that. All right, I'm gonna get this positioned over into place, and I'm gonna go set you guys up front, and then I'll come in and start the job. Let you listen to the compressor. All right, that is all set up to cut, so we'll go out the back here. And so I'll get you set up, or you are set up. So I'm just gonna leave this running. I'm gonna kick off that job I just loaded, and then you'll hear it kick on. It should, I've already checked it out. It runs really good, but you'll notice it kicks on, runs smooth, and then, you know, kicks off. All right, so that job just kicked off. It'll run for a little bit and, you know, empty down to 90 PSI, and then it'll kick on. Well, it might actually do that whole job without kicking on, but I doubt it. Probably kick on right at the end of it, which would be good. Well, you heard that. It sounded good, you know, and solid, and Didn't sound like it was laboring or anything. So anyway, Shut Your Face Garage. Let me show you the part number on this belt. If you haven't put a belt on it in a while, you know, it might be good to just get a new belt and go on there. So here's Seagate 6857, 57 inches long. So all right guys, I got to get out here and get going on this on these metal arc pieces and get them prepped and primed today, and then let the primer set up a couple of days and then get them painted and out the door here. But anyway, I thought I'd just show you a little bit of what I had going on today here on the Oldbarn Homestead channel. And just a little rigging here. See you guys.